Jules here. I've been getting a lot of requests for some more detailed information on how I am working with these Styrofoam ceiling tiles to sort of give them a faux metal or wood look. So I thought I'd take you through this step by step. And we're going to start with mixing the paint. So I went to the local hardware store. I just had a little quart of paint mixed up. This is sort of a caramelized brown, and I want to get it, let's see, I'm going to need a little bit more, so grab a chunk on your brush and then start mixing it in with the water. With this, I'm going to want to add just a touch more water, because really what I want to do is more of a wash with this. So I want the first coat to be fairly light, not too light. Make sure you get the globs off of your brush so that we get this mixed in. Okay. Alright, then drain it. Then you're going to come over here and you're just going to start to brush your tiles. Brush it onto the tile. You're going to see that you're going to start to get some uneven coverage, but that's okay because we're going to want it to pool in certain spots. And I do have a way of evening that out. Right now we just need to get it on there. You can choose pretty much any base coat you want depending on what kind of finishes. People use blue. Then they'll go over it with silver. Where I am going into the brown tone because I want it more of a copper bronze look for the color scheme in our bathroom. So I'm choosing a brown gold combination. It's not really rocket science at this point. Just get it slapped on and then we will come in and finesse it in a second. Okay. Make sure you get these edges. That's really important because if you don't get the edges, they're going to show up kind of white when you go and install the final tiles. So what I'm now going to do is, this is why I have a cloth here, is I'm going to start pulling off some of the extra and dab it onto the cloth, okay? There are going to be spots where I'm going to want it a little heavier, but I don't want humongous pools. You know, let's get rid of this. That's just not going to work for me. And then if you brush back the other way, you'll get rid of some of the pooling in the opposite direction. See if I can get a better shot of that. See? It gets rid of that pooling in the opposite direction. What I have found with this is the directionality of my brush strokes really comes into play later, especially in the finished piece, as you shall see as we progress. Okay. I do want some pooled areas like here. See, I like the difference in striations and strokes. That also is going to come into play later. You don't want this perfect. You want this a little rough looking, okay? And we're still a little heavy here. And there. Okay. Where it tends to lay in pools like this, it will get very dark brown. Alright? So just bear that in mind. If that's really going to bother you, it actually winds up looking more patinaed in the long run. And I'll show you that right about now. So we have to set this aside, let it dry. So when that's dry, then you get to move on to your second phase. So this is what it looks like when it's all dried. Got some nice pooling. You've got some striations in there with your brush strokes. And now we are going to cover it with gold. Alright, so I just picked up on a metallic gold paint, okay, acrylic. You cannot use anything but acrylic on these tiles, it will eat them. Lord knows I've tried. So just be very conscious of the fact that it has to be acrylic. So again, we water down that gold, because I want it kind of the consistency of milk. And then I'm going to start brushing that on the entire surface of this panel. And I am going to allow it to pool up in certain spots. So I do definitely want it heavier in some areas than others. And again, once we go over it with the third and final coat of the brown again, it brings out the subtle gold hues so that they're not completely overwhelming. Because I didn't want, that's not the point here, folks. So, alright. Almost done with that. See how it goes on, so nice and gold. It will not dry this noticeable. Everything changes when it dries. Kind of funny how that works. Okay, in the pooled areas, again, I'm going to try and even this out a bit. I do want it a little heavier in some spots, like right over here where it's kind of pooled. That might be a tad heavy, so I'll just go over it with a really light brush. Alright, but the rest of this looks good. Alright, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Maybe that gets a little attention. And then we set that aside to dry. So once that's all dry, then you are ready for your final coat of the brown. And this is where you get to add the depth to your panels. So this is one that's dried completely with the gold. And you can see how the gold has actually even brought out some of the browns. Now with this, you can see how I've got the original brush strokes are going vertical on this panel. I want to go horizontal with my finished coat. I do not want to go in the same direction as I did originally. So I'm going to go back to my original paint color. Let it drain. Okay. And I'm going to go over it here. And I'm going to get a little bit random. A little bit kind of artsy-fartsy because I want dark. I want light. As I want those striations to look like natural patinas. Okay? So what I will do is I get a little heavy-handed with the paint in some areas. Alright. And then I take paper towel. I need a better piece of paper towel. Bear with me. Alright. And then I'm going to start to rub off. Come on, focus, camera, focus. Just trying to get there. So I'm rubbing off sections so that on this I can start to get some clearer cut dark and light striations. I normally do not do this on a lifted platform, so I have more control when it's flat on the ground, or on a table surface, a solid surface, I suppose is what I want to say. Okay, but we'll make this happen. what the paper towel here does is it allows for extra striations. It still allows for some of the gold to come through. And then let's show you what that looks like once it's all dried. When it's all dry, this is the panel that you get. And when it's up on a ceiling, the colors really translate a lot differently than when you're videotaping it. But with certain light, you can see how the gold will come through. But for the most part, you're going to get the nice amber look. And when you check out my other video as far as doing the ceiling installation, you'll see how it looks when it's finally finished. Well, thank you for watching. And please like and subscribe. We've got a lot more projects going on at this place. So thanks again. Bye for now.